When we last left the star Vega, she was lording it over her husband Altair, having planted him firmly in his place in astronomical history. True, his wooing of her may have been less than consensual, but as marriages go, she appears to have done well out of it. As the brightest star in the northern hemisphere's summer sky, Vega has received a great deal of attention. The first star to be photographed, the first star to have its spectrum taken, technically the first star to have its parallax measured, though 61 Cygni usually claims that title. And in 1983, the first star other than the Sun revealed to possess a system of substellar material. Granted, it wasn't much, just a ring of dust, but it was enough for Carl Sagan to grant Vega a starring role in his novel Contact, published 2 years later. Since the discovery of Vega's disk, dozens of others have been found in various stages of construction, from simple debris to the beginnings of complex systems. But in this new forest of discoveries, Vega has been somewhat abandoned. Showier cousins like Fomalhaut, which is of a similar age, distance, and stellar class to Vega, have stolen its thunder with their dramatic, fantastical entourages, leaving Vega, literally, in the dust. But, as 2 papers released on Halloween this year have shown, the very monotony of Vega's dust disk is itself remarkable. Depending on what source you use, Vega is between 450 and 700 million years old, a toddler compared to our Sun, but middle-aged for a star of its type, and, more importantly, plenty old enough to possess a planetary system. Our own solar system is believed to have essentially completed construction about 700 million years after the Sun's birth. And Fomalhaut, which again is a near twin of Vega, though likely even younger, already shows evidence of planets. In 2013, a team suggested that the Vegan system may be similarly evolved, comprising a cool outer belt, similar to our solar system's Kuiper belt, and a hot inner belt, similar to our asteroid belt, with a gap in between. But that gap is an illusion. Through the eyes of JWST, Vega reveals only dust. The faintest ghost of a gap, hinting at a possible planet, remains at its center. But beyond that, Vega's disk is smooth, symmetrical, and nearly perfectly circular. In fact, with an eccentricity of 0.002, Vega's disk is 10 times more circular than Earth's orbit around the Sun. The fact that the outer disk is brightest at millimeter wavelengths suggests it comprises just millimeter-sized grains, roughly equivalent to Earth's sand. Vega's bridal dress is woven from the very finest threads. This is frankly bizarre. By this point, observatories like ALMA had taken so many images of stellar systems in formation, each displaying their own presumably planet-hiding gaps between the various belts, that planet formation, given enough time, appeared to be inevitable. In fact, evidence seemed to suggest that a disk would begin to show noticeable gaps after just 2 million years, and to have largely dissipated after 10 million years. Vega has certainly had enough time, yet has somehow managed to retain its youthful countenance. The search for planets around Vega has been frustrating. Because Vega is facing Earth pole on, radial velocity is virtually useless, and transits are impossible. In 2021, a radial velocity attempt did suggest, within a massive margin of error, a Neptune-sized planet with a 2.4-day orbit around its star. That poor world would be hot enough to possess boron rain clouds. But this has proven difficult to replicate due to Vega's intense surface activity. The disk's extreme circularity precludes any planets of Saturn size or larger beyond 10 AU from Vega, as any such world's gravity would have distended the disk into an ellipse. This is perplexing, as any planet large enough to create the 20 AU wide gap seen in the JWST images would have to be more massive than Jupiter. It is possible that the gap's apparent width is merely a trick of wavelength, and that a 10 AU gap would only require a sub-Saturn mass planet to maintain it. That said, models also suggest that a planet is not necessary to create the observed gap in the disk, and it may simply mark a transition between an inner disk of planetesimals and an outer disk of grains slowed in their orbits by starlight and slowly falling towards Vega. One thing I have not made clear about this disk is that it is big. Vega is more than twice the mass of the Sun, and its disk extends out to 250 AU, also double the radius proposed for the Sun's protoplanetary disk. The gap, with its purported planet, lies at 60 AU from its star, or double the distance to Neptune. Its outer belt, the analog of our Kuiper belt, which in our solar system extends from about 30 to 50 AU, extends from 80 to 170 AU. The disk is invisible below 7 AU, largely due to glare and the coronagraph used to block Vega's light. However, a high-energy signature from the disk suggests it begins very close to its star, a region of small, superheated dust grains 0.2 AU from Vega's surface, likely composed of high-refractory material like magnesium or graphite. The team also inferred another disk that could be no closer than 3 AU from Vega, which suggested a gap might exist between these two regions, possibly maintained by a relatively small planet of 1 to 3 Earth masses. The radial profiles and temperature measurements suggest the inner disk extends from 3 to 5 AU. Other than these faint inferred possibilities, no planets, at least that we can detect, exist in the Vega system. How this could be when other systems of its age, including stars of similar type, show advanced planetary formation is simply unknown. But if one unaccredited outsider, me, might offer a suggestion, could we have simply misread Vega's age? When I published my first video about Vega, I cited her age as 450 million years. In human terms, mid-30s. However, in 2012, a team led by I.D. Monnier of the University of Michigan observed a much slower rotation period than previously known, at 0.71 days. Since stars' rotation is slow as they age, this suggested Vega should be far older, at 700 million years, or early 50s in human terms. I don't intend to argue with this, as I lack an observatory to hand. But determining the ages of stars is notoriously tricky, particularly for stars less than 1 billion years old. Main sequence stars don't tend to change much over time. Might Vega simply be a child bride?